What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of FGC Behind the Smoke. We are back, baby.
Oh yeah, every week, all week,
That's right.
once a week.
How how you doing over there, bud?
Good, buddy. Good. Yeah, just woke up, had some food, lit up a
What,
fire.
what'd you have for breakfast?
Just your like West Coast Pacific special avocado toast with some
You had
eggs.
avocado toast?
I know, dude. You shouldn't have asked me. You should.
You fucking hippie. I'm just
In
kidding.
my
Uh,
in my defense, my wife made it, so I just ate it.
well, in that case, avocado toast is awesome.
It's got some benefits, a little bit of egg on there too, and you know.
Oh, there you go. Look at you, eh? All healthy and shit. You got a beard going on, and look at
What
you,
what'd you have? What time is it over there right now?
dude. It's like 6 p.m. here.
Did you have dinner yet?
No.
What are you thinking?
Oh, I pulled out some deer sausage out of the freezer, so I think I'm gonna do like a sausage penne with the deer sausage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
Francesco's having Chinese food.
oh, just right now while he's
No, not right now, but
uh,
tonight.
okay.
He's
Nice.
looking forward to it. Hey, Francesco, what's your favorite? What's your favorite Chinese food? Oh, ginger chicken. Ginger beef. Okay, I was gonna say. I was like ginger chicken. I don't know. You're getting soft on us.
Ginger beef. Yeah, that's a good one. It's actually pretty easy to
Yeah,
make too.
dude, I've made it with moose before.
Yeah, good.
Kyle gave me a recipe. You just get a moose roast and you slice it up nice and thin. And you
Yeah.
make ginger beef, and oh, dude, it's deadly.
Some cornstarch and then throw it on or what?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
nice.
yeah. Just to crisp it up a bit.
Beautiful. Is that what this episode is about today? Because I
It
think
is
there's
not what this episode is about. So luckily, we went off track at the start of the episode instead of halfway through.
that means we're gonna be
So
good for the rest of it, right?
yeah, sure. All right, let's get on track here before we lose our listeners.
Yes. What are
So
we talking
Boris,
about today?
yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Okay, okay. I'll give the first part. It's going to be 8 rules, FGC 8 rules of what,
Yeah,
Adamo?
of communication,
Wow. See how we did that together?
like a team.
We communicated really well. So, yeah, today's topic FGC's 8 rules of communication.
Yeah.
Uh,
So this is our rules that we created that will definitely help you in your interview.
yeah, hopefully it'll help. We think it would. These are some of the things that we've seen in the past that need fixing, or guys kind of glanced over, or people just got, cut out of the process for. So we'll go through the steps one by one. We'll kind of explain what they mean, how you should utilize them. And yeah, hopefully for your next panel interview, you can utilize these 8 steps and be very successful with your interview.
Let's do it. Let's get into it. I'm excited.
Same.
So what's our first one? What's our first rule, Boris?
Our first rule, first of all, I listened to you say the whole thing, and then I'm going to explain it. It's active listening. So,
Nailed it.
so it's listening completely, then responding is basically what we mean by active listening.
Yeah, make sure that you fully understand what the question is that they're asking you, right? If they're asking you a question and you're like super nervous or something, you didn't get the second part of the question, like you could have some points deducted there by not fully answering that question, right? So you want to make sure that you're practicing that active listening, right? Make eye contact with them so they know that you're listening to them.
Totally. And it can be tough because a lot of the times recruiters will be with their heads down, writing what you're saying, and you're not going to get that eye contact, but you have to try to maintain it to try to understand what they're saying, give them that extra time. Because, yeah, like Adamo said, if you miss a point of it, like if it's, and I think we touched on this before, is like if it's a conflict with a supervisor, but you tell them about a conflict with a coworker, well, now you just missed the question and you got no points because you didn't actively listen, right?
Exactly, yeah. And you know what? It's something that's so small, but even though it's so small, like a lot of people have a hard time with it, right?
Yeah, yeah, like you said, they're nervous, right? First time in there, potentially, they're not looking at them. If it's like a 2 or 3 part question, especially, it's extra difficult. You'll have to write it down. Hopefully, they give you a piece of paper and a pen that you can take notes on. And active listening is kind of one of those times that you should be also utilizing that piece of paper, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Especially with those 2 and 3 part questions, right? You can just jot down the highlights of those questions so that way if, you're answering your question and you kind of forget what the second part was, you can quickly glance down at your notes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to kill you if you have to ask the recruiters to repeat something, but if you're doing it for every question, they're going to know you're not actively listening, you're not paying attention. They're going to be like, well, if this guy can't, you know, answer a question that we're asking, he or she going to answer like an order at a fire, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey, Boris, can you tilt your camera down just a bit? All I can see is just there you go.
Oh,
You were cut off at the chin.
Oh, that's because I got two of them. The other one drips down a little more.
Hey,
How's it?
if you keep eating all that avocado toast, you'll be fine.
Dude, you never should have asked me that question. I was like, now I got to answer it to the audience when I had some shitty avocado toast, and I knew you had some game meat too. I'm like, oh man, I got to go and shoot a kangaroo after this.
Yeah, yeah, do it up, man.
But
Kangaroo meat's good.
oh, it's so good. I got some in the freezer right now, and they're all up on the property, so it's going to be hunting
Nice,
time soon. And yeah, I think I'm going to do some spaghetti and meatballs, kangaroo spaghetti
nice,
meatballs. Yeah.
dude. We're
Um,
we're doing it again. We're going off topic.
oh, sorry. Yeah. So active listening. Okay. First thing, huge,
Okay, so
right?
rule number one: active listening.
Yeah, it's important. Make sure you guys are paying attention to what the recruiters are asking for. Write it down, like Adamo said. If it's a 2 or 3 part question, you're gonna want to write it down because 4 minutes into your answer, you're not gonna remember what that second or third part of that question was, most likely, right?
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to rule number two. Unless do you have more to add there, Boris?
No, I think we've covered that. I think the audience knows. If you guys have any questions, like feel free to DM us, email us as we go through these because we do think these are pretty important.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you haven't gotten enough clarification on each step, yeah, guys, just give us a shout. We're more than happy to help out.
Yeah, exactly. So rule number two, what do we got there, buddy?
Body language.
Yeah, and this is actually a pretty important one too because I feel like if you have poor body language, you could be answering a question really well, but because of that body language that you're displaying, it could kind of maybe give them like the recruiter a bit of I don't want to say like a sour taste, but it might not match what you're trying to display in your answer. You know what I
Totally.
mean?
Totally. If you're saying you're confident, you're proud of this job, or you're proud to be a part of the recruitment process, but then you're all slouched over, barely talking, they can barely hear you. Like you said, it doesn't reflect what you're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sit up right, hold your head high. It also displays a level of confidence too.
Yeah, and that's one of our steps down the line. But totally, like, are you going to be slouched over and talking quietly at a fire ground when you're helping out a patient, right? You're going into a home where potentially it's their worst day of their life, and they need somebody confident to be able to do their job, right? And
Yeah,
have that body
exactly.
language. If you come in there slouched, you feel like you shouldn't be there, you don't want to be there. It's going to show, and it's not going to look good for you in the interview.
Yeah, exactly. And like kind of like what we said earlier too, along with body language is making eye contact, right? Like
Mhm.
it's like even when you first get there and you introduce yourself and stuff like that, I know you're going to be nervous and all that, but make eye contact, have a nice hand, firm handshake, smile, right? All that kind of stuff like really shows that you're excited to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And don't go the other way too. Don't be too relaxed. Don't be spinning in the chair. Don't be moving around too much. Like just act normal, but be respectful. And like Adamo said, be proud to be there and have the opportunity to get this job, right?
Yeah, exactly. Did you say spitting in the chair or spinning?
Spinning.
I
Yeah.
thought you said spitting at first. I'm like, dude, if you go in there and spit in that chair, you are not getting hired.
How would you even do that? Like spit like on the where you're sitting or like have some chew in your mouth and
Yeah, I
then
don't
like spit?
know.
Yeah.
Maybe both. Like you spit on your chair, as in like this is my chair. I'm marking my territory.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Dude, I actually I've had recruits in the past have chewing gum in their mouth and I was just flabbergasted. Like, what are you doing? Take this seriously. Like I just wanted to scream at them, be like, spit. Like, there's been a few times when I'm like, take that gum out of your mouth, please. Like,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, like yeah, don't do that.
I don't
Like
understand. I don't understand how that plays. Maybe somebody's nervous and they think their breath stinks and they come in with gum, but like, please remember to take it out before you come into the
yeah.
interview. Uh,
Yeah. Don't have a zin in your lip or I mean, I have one in right now, but that's okay because we own this shit. That's
yeah.
why.
But yeah, just have that body language that says you want to be there, you're happy to be there, and you want to do well in the interview and be a good firefighter down the line.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Cool, buddy. What's number 3 here?
So this one here is actually a really important one. And number three is adapt to your audience. So like on the panel, you're gonna have, depending on where you're applying and stuff, but like we've said before, you're gonna have 3 to 5 people, right? You might have HR representative, you might have a chief, right? You might have a training officer, you might have a member of the union executive, right?
Mhm.
Um, so you want to be able to adapt to your audience based off of who's asking you the question, right? And give an example, if you can, of something that's kind of tailored towards them. You know what I mean? Like if HR is asking you a question, you might want to have your answer be a little more relatable to their expertise.
Yeah, and it's small things a lot of times. It's nothing too crazy, but it's definitely going to show. Things like saying guys instead of people
People,
potentially, right? If you have an HR rep, or like brotherhood instead of like potentially just brotherhood and sisterhood, or any of that little stuff. It's not so much the fact that the words that you're saying, it's the fact that you're not actively tailoring it to the audience, because what that does in the recruiting panel's mind is if you're not adapting to that audience, how are you going to adapt when you're speaking to a child, or how are you going to adapt when you're speaking to somebody who's deaf or has mental deficits or something like that on the job, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It is an important thing, right? Adapt to the audience, right? Whoever's asking you the question. Um, if it's say a training officer asking you a question, you may want to be able to display some sort of teamwork in your answer, right?
Yeah, work
Um,
ethic, teamwork, absolutely. Your skills, right? Totally. Like you said, base it to the audience. If you have 3 chiefs in there that have been on the job for 30 plus years, they could potentially be a little more rough around the edges. If it's a chief that's just gotten there and they're there as the diversity and inclusion chief or something like that, well, that's a very different thing as well, right?
totally. Yeah.
So again, guys, it's not going to sink you completely if you say guys instead of people, or brotherhood instead of brotherhood, sisterhood. Like I said, it's just they need to know that you can adapt to the audience on the
Yeah.
fly. So just be mindful of that. Obviously no swear words, things like that. That's gonna tank you instantly. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Like Adamo said, it's a very important thing to be able to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, so for our next rule, we have clear and concise language, right? So avoid like jargons, slang, acronyms, all that kind of stuff, right? Like you want to come across as like, fairly intelligent and, you don't want to really be using like acronyms, especially if it's something that, say you worked in a certain field and you're trying to explain something in your story and you're using like an acronym for something that they might not even know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, totally. It kind of goes into the previous point, like adapt to the audience. So, for you, Adamo, you're a plumber. You're not going to use plumbing jargon. I was in the military. I'm not going to use military jargon and just assume that everybody on the panel is military, or everybody on the panel is a plumber, right?
Yeah,
If you do have to use jargon, which sometimes happens, right? If it's, a conflict with a supervisor, or tell us about a time you solved the problem at work, obviously you're going to have to potentially use some jargon. So make sure that you guys explain what it is, right?
yeah,
Like if I'm going to say
let
FR, it means first responder, right? I'm not going to just
yeah,
say FR, EMR, PCP, whatever, and not explain what those terms are. I'm going to be like, okay, well, PCP means primary care paramedic. It's used in the medical field for this, this, and this, right?
exactly. Yeah. And then also just speaking clear and concise, right? Try not to speak too fast. Make sure you're not mumbling. Make sure you're, talking loud enough, but not too loud, right? Like you want to find that sweet spot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Again, the recruiters are going to be wondering, if you can't be clear and concise now, how are you going to do it on the fire ground? How are you going to do it when a bunch of school kids come by to see the fire trucks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, clear and concise language, avoid jargons and acronyms and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. That's our 4 steps of communication. Halfway through. Ready for the next
Yeah,
one, Adamo?
let's do it. So context slash stay structured. So the STAR method, right? This is another big one that I find people have a hard time with. I know we've probably said this before on the podcast, but providing enough context into your story so the recruiter can get the full picture as to what the situation was that you were in.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be able to give the story from start to finish, to make your answer not just robust for yourself and for being able to tell the whole story at once, but also the better you make your story context wise, the more points you're going to be able to get on that answer, on that score sheet.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
For example, like you said, Adamo, the STAR method. For anyone that doesn't know, again, here's an acronym that we're going to explain if you don't know the jargon. STAR stands for situation, task, action, result, and it's essentially it's an outline of how you could potentially frame some of your answers. So you have a situation, you have what you did, action, how you did, how you manage that situation and what the result was at the end. And we've talked about this numerous times. Like you guys should know what star format is by now, but like that lets you remain structured and stay within the context of your answer.
Yeah, yeah, just and be organized, right? Like have your answer organized so you hit all the main points, right?
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what that is, then just go back to some of our previous episodes. We talk about it, I think, numerous times on other episodes, right?
Yeah, and again, if you are still having issues, feel free to reach out to us because yeah, these are important. And if you are having trouble uh, putting your answers into context or structuring them in a way that actually makes sense, that's going to be a big issue for you down the line because that's like a fundamental flaw in the way you're answering your questions. That no matter what fire department you go to, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah,
It's gonna hurt you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What's rule number 6, Boris?
Rule number 6, what we have tons of is confidence, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah. So confidence, we spoke about it a little bit earlier too. Kind of goes with the body language. Yeah. Be confident walking in there. Firm handshake. Thank them for their time. Act like you want to be there because hopefully you do. Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
it's not just, confidence in your body language and confidence in your speech. It's confidence in your answers. Right. Well, I did this thing because this was my thought process, or this happened because I screwed up, or, I didn't get this done in time. Be confident with what you're saying and be confident with the answers that you're giving.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to display that level of confidence because like we said before, you're going to be going to calls that could be pretty high stress and stuff, and you need to show up with that confidence and display that so that way the people who you're trying to help at least they see that you come in confident. It's gonna help the situation, right?
Totally, because people call 911 when they're not confident in being able to solve the problem that they have, right?
Yeah.
So if you come in there like, "Oh man, I'm scared as much as you are," that's not like
Yeah.
that's
It's
not a
not
good
very
look.
not very reassuring, that's for sure.
Yeah, so you have to have that confidence going into the interview, essentially throughout your whole process. Like when you're doing the written test, when you're doing the skills test, physical, whatever it is, like be confident. And if you do make mistakes, own them. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But yeah, you have to be confident. That is a firefighting trait. And yeah, you're going to be nervous going in there, but remember that you're qualified to do this job, right? So go in there knowing that the skills that you have are good for this job, right?
Yeah, another thing that I would just want to add into that is that there's a big difference between confidence and arrogance. So make sure you know the difference. You don't want to come across as arrogant thinking that you're coming across as confident because then you're going to have the opposite effect.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
A way you can potentially test that out too is just have a mock interview, right? Do it with a friend or a spouse, and give a couple answers. You're like, do you think this comes off as cocky, or do you think this comes off as me knowing my job?
Exactly, yeah.
All right.
And we can help out with that too if you hire us for interview coaching, right? Like we our job as consultants is to be honest with you about everything that you're doing, and if you're coming across as arrogant, well, we're going to tell you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it's that fine line between modesty, arrogance, and confidence, right? You have to be right on the line. It's
Yeah,
the interviewers are probably meeting you for the very first time. It's their first impression of you, so you have to be able to display that confidence, display that modesty, and not display that cockiness all at the same time.
exactly. So that leads us into our next rule, which is drum
Uh,
roll.
Continuous learning and practice.
Yeah.
So
So, just being able to display that you are, continuing to improve your resume, right? Like I would say, from say like the time that you applied to the time of your interview, is there something that you've added on to that, right?
yeah, especially if your interview is a year after you submitted your resume. Well, hopefully you have more stuff on that resume to add.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll let you add it, maybe they won't, but make sure that you have been continuously learning, because it could come up in your interview as well, right? What have you done since you first applied to this job, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then also with on the practice side of it, right? Practicing your interview skills, right? Like you said earlier, Boris, like, do a mock interview with a friend or a family member, right? Um, Practice these rules of communication throughout that mock interview that you do,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's just going to make you better and it's going to make you more prepared.
Yeah, and that's the fire service too, right? We're continuously learning, we're continuously practicing. Adamo and I are no different. Like we drill it, at our fire halls when we're there.
Yeah.
We're always learning, right? We're taking courses to be better consultants all the time, and trying to do this job better as well. So, it, as fire service is continuous learning. So if you adopt that early before you even start applying, you're going to be much better off down the line.
Yeah, exactly. And no matter how good you think you are or how qualified you think you are, there's always room for improvement no matter what, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about number 8 coming at you
Number 8.
hot?
So another important one. Own your mistakes,
Yes.
right? Don't especially like when you're telling your stories or whatever in the interview. Own up. Like if you were the reason that your team lost the championship game, like own up to it, right? I think that shows a lot of maturity and it shows ownership and accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if, there's a follow-up question from the interview panel about something that you did, don't backtrack and try to like cover up a mistake. But yeah, no, I absolutely did do that, or that is how it was. Maybe it wasn't the best time in my life. Maybe it was not something I'm particularly proud of, but it is what it is, and I'm trying to learn from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
Um,
like you said at the end there, Boris, that you're trying to learn from it or you've learned from your mistakes, right? I think that's really important because everyone makes mistakes, right? But if you continuously make the same mistake and you don't learn from it, well, then that's a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're not taking responsibility for your actions, again, the recruiter is going to be like, well, is this person going to do the same thing on the fire ground or at the fire hall, just not take any responsibility for their actions, right? Uh,
Yeah,
that's not somebody you really want to work with, right? So neither does the recruiting panel at that point.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's our 8 rules of communication to help you guys out with your interviews. We will have this in the study guide as well that we are creating, the interview prep study guide. And yeah, you got anything else to add there, Boris?
No, buddy, I don't have much to add other than hopefully this helps you out during your process. We did put some thought into this, so we appreciate any type of feedback or any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for listening, guys. And sorry, I'm just laughing because Boris needs a haircut.
Oh, dude, it's so long.
Jesus.
I gotta.
What they don't have barbers in Australia or what?
I haven't found one yet, to be honest. So I'm kind of in the bush, so I do have to figure something out. I'm either gonna
Just
gonna rock a ponytail, or I'm just gonna look pretty homeless for the next few months.
You should rock a ponytail because then I can make fun of you on every podcast episode that we have while you have it.
Is avocado toast not enough for you? Like, what more do you want?
It's like when you start doing nicotine. You know what I mean? You start with that 4 milligram, and the next thing you know, you're at the 15 milligram. So it's kind of like that. So I just got to keep upping it.
We have just created our Patreon program and it's online. We'll put a link in the description of this episode. It's got all our freebies on there. So it's got resume templates, the interview checklist,
the competitive edge checklist.
Yeah, competitive edge checklist.
And we're also going to be diving into more in-depth interview episodes and hiring process stuff. And we're going to be posting it on there. It really does help us out because then we're able to pay Francesco for producing this podcast. If it wasn't for him, we'd be hooped.
You guys missed the part where we were just trying to turn this microphone on before this episode.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we wouldn't be anywhere without him. So we'd like to start paying him a lot more.
And it's also going to be a way for us to just upgrade to better audio equipment, better cameras, better lighting, and all that kind of stuff to bring you guys a better experience with this podcast.
Yeah, and that was your idea actually, with the whole going over every interview question kind of in depth and really getting into the interview panel stuff.
Yeah, we'll be going into that in really great detail, really breaking apart the questions and just talking about like what they're actually asking in these questions, right? And yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of info, a lot of really, really good info.
And if it's not, let us know. We also have a chat group in there as well on Patreon.
That's right.
So if there's, guests you want us to see, bring on, or if there's questions you want us to ask or talk about on the podcast, you're more than welcome to ask us on there.
Yeah, for sure. And like when it comes to those behavioral / situational type questions, we can break down a question and talk about it for probably half an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Just one question.
Easily.
So there's going to be a lot of really good info on that. And like we said, it's going to really help support the podcast so we can upgrade better equipment and also keep Francesco around so that way there is a podcast.
Chaining him down to the table would be too cruel.
Yeah. Right on. Anyways, guys, before we get too carried away here, thanks for listening. I hope you guys find some value in this. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Adios.
Bye.